Welcome to the Mojo Market Report. Here's your hosts, Dave Sturchio and Chris Gueci.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Mojo Market Report right here on a football Monday. It is Dave Sturchio, Chris Gueci, A5, Anthony behind the glass right here at Chop Studios. Everybody's miserable. Me, and Chris is just kind of,
I've been miserable for probably about 13, 14 years now, so we're all
so
good.
we're all miserable here on the Mojo Market Report. As a lot to get into. NFL divisional weekend delivered. I want to say nothing, a big nothing burger. I mean, I didn't really. You look at the games on the surface, like none of these games are actually any good.
The Jaguars-Chiefs game towards the end, I guess you could say there was a little bit of drama involved. But for the most part, I mean, the Eagles-Giants, that was a debacle. That was a bloodbath. I can't believe the most hysterical thing in sports was the fact that people actually were giving the Giants a chance in this game. Oh, my goodness.
I mean, we were here. We were fluffing them up a little bit. At least I was. I thought they were playing good. Momentum is a funny thing, man.
I don't think I gave the Giants a chance in any game this year. I've picked against the Giants all year long, and now I can finally say, guys, I told you the Giants weren't good. No, the Giants, they had a great season. I'm sure we're going to get to it in a little bit.
Definitely overachieved. Yeah.
I just wanted to know what Dave was doing next weekend. You got any plans?
Me?
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff. The Royal Rumble is next weekend. Yankees spring training starts soon.
Is like 34 days
Basketball,
away.
the Knicks are playing not terrible, but they're not good either. So it's kind of like
sports are back.
Sports, right? Other than football. But today the focal point is to show you guys who moved on the Mojo Market. I know there was a lot of stuff going on over on the Mojo Market, and that was between the liquid prop bets and everything that was happening there. So interested to see the developments there and how that all turned out, but. Obviously, the first thing we start talking about today is your top movers in chronological order as far as games played. And, again, the NFL playoffs didn't really deliver that great of games, but we did see some good performances based off of, what we watched. And obviously, the Patrick Mahomes thing was nerving. I'm sure Collinsworth is very nervous about his boy because we know that was just, I mean, come on. He's got great insight, but man, does he have some infatuation with a player a week.
Yeah, there was
happens every week.
I don't know if anybody saw it. It was like House of Highlights or Bleacher Report shared it out, and it was Patrick Mahomes basically avoiding getting sacked, but trying to pump fake. The ball trickles out. It's an incomplete pass. That was a hell of a play by Pat Mahomes. Trevor Lawrence rolls to his left. Throws like a 60-yard dart, right? Hits Christian Kirk in his hands in stride, and he overthrew him. Now, I'm sure that...
Here's a guy who can't throw the ball like Patrick Mahomes.
To be fair, Trevor Lawrence is also well on his way to being guy that can't do anything wrong in the eyes of Chris Collinsworth. But
he's going to be in his good graces soon enough. But the real story here is Rutgers' own Isaiah Pacheco. Dude, when he gets the ball in his hands... maybe it's just his running actual physical style, but he looks like he runs 110% every time he touches the ball. This dude in this offense will be a major factor going forward. We'll get more into Pacheco as the week goes along because obviously he's now in the AFC title game. But he has 12 attempts. He only outrushes McKinnon by 1, by the way, which is kind of crazy because I always look at McKinnon as a guy that can catch the ball to the backfield, and that's it. There was a lot of handoffs to be had, specifically because Mahomes was hurt. So, here's Patrick Mahomes doing the whole, hopping over just to give a handoff. Pacheco goes for 95 yards. He averaged 7.9 yards a carry. The dude can run. And let me tell you something. He's not your average runner. He's really not. He only caught 1 ball out of the backfield, so he's not really a factor there yet. But, man, every time I watch this guy, I'm like, all right, anytime he could bust one.
Yeah, he did well in the preseason. Going into I think it was first week of the year, he was the biggest mover in the Mojo Market. He might even be the biggest gainer on the season for the entire year this year.
I got to look, but I think that could be a thing.
It's either him or Brock Purdy, I would imagine, right? Brock Purdy out of nowhere. But we'll get into Brock Purdy. He's down.
Yeah, he is down.
But as far as Pacheco goes, looking into next week with the Mahomes injury, it could be a situation where they're leaning on a more traditional type of offense with handing the ball off 20, 30 times that game. If they're going to want a chance to beat the Bengals with a hurt Patrick Mahomes, they're going to have to establish the run. Mm-hmm. Easier said than done, but Pacheco's a load. He runs the ball hard. They spread it out on that offense. I can't see how you wouldn't be in on Pacheco going forward because he's in his rookie year. And on that offense for the next 3 minimum, or maybe 2, I'm not sure what kind of deal he signed. He was a late pick, but
Pacheco?
Yeah.
Oh, he's going to have the 4 or 5.
Definitely
standard.
not 5.
No, you don't
First
get a
round
5th-year option.
It's
So
4. I thought that maybe after the 4th round, I could be wrong, but you could go on a lesser than a 4-year deal. Either way, Pacheco, cheap dollar amount for the Chiefs and a cheap dollar amount for an investment on the Mojo Market. I would say Isaiah Pacheco, amongst a litany or a slew of other Chiefs, you should be in on right now.
ready for this?
Although they're
you
probably
want to
gonna
talk
get
about
bounced next
a
week.
bargain for the Chiefs? He's eligible to be an unrestricted free agent in 2026. His base salary, his cap number this year, $724,000. Next year, $889,000. He doesn't break the million mark until 2024, and then 2025 he gets another million.
This is why it's so hard
so
to
valuable.
pay a running back.
It really
Because
is.
when you see that,
I know,
and I
because I'm
understand
watching Pacheco and I got Zeke over there making
it's not
$16
but it's not like
million.
Pacheco is able to do what Zeke has been able to
No,
do.
no,
so
no.
we haven't seen Pacheco over a full season. Let's see him do it for, get 200, 300 carries in a year before we start saying like, oh, you don't need a good back. You could, he still has a long way to go. But all signs point towards, yes, I'm in. Go long on Isaiah Pacheco.
Absolutely. All right, a game that got out of reach and out of hand very quickly was the Philadelphia Eagles and New York Giants on Saturday night. Miles Sanders was chosen here by our esteemed colleague Chris, but it was like pick your poison. You could pick whoever you want to be a
He went
top
up
mover.
the most, and I feel like we've talked a little bit. I was curious as to what Miles Sanders was going to have to do in the Mojo Market to actually go up in a game, and we finally saw it.
He's the only running back who didn't score.
I think he actually finally is higher than he started the season at.
But it's just crazy. Like, they had 3 rushing touchdowns. None of them were him. You know what I mean? Like, everybody, it was a pick your poison
I hope
type
you guys
thing.
stuck around at the end of the show last week when I did drop a little Boston Scott
little
tidbit.
Boston Scott tidbit. Papa Scott owns the Giants once again, scores again. Kenneth Gainwell, 12 carries, 112 yards. Miles Sanders goes for 90. The Eagles rushed for 268 on the ground. I mean, that's to me, that's incredible. Because Jalen Hurts didn't have that great of a day. He didn't have a good stat day. Obviously he took off and ran a couple times, 9 times for 34 yards and a
offensive
touchdown.
line.
Huh?
Can we invest in the Eagles'
Yeah,
offensive
seriously,
line
those
as a
dudes
whole?
are- those
Because
dudes
if
are
we could invest
protecting.
in offensive line units, I would definitely be all in on the Eagles.
Yeah, I mean,
good.
they're very good. They
offensive
protected
line's
him well.
very good.
He was sacked just once, so they got the Hurts once. But you look at this Giants team, and there's obviously a lot to dive into as the offseason hits for them. The decisions need to be made. Was Daniel Jones your guy? Like, he clearly played well enough to get him there. It's just a matter of delivering in that big moment, and he couldn't do it. Honestly, neither could Saquon. 61 yards on the ground.
Yeah,
but
that
you would
offense
figure
was stuck.
Saquon.
That offense
they
was
were
stuck in the mud.
yeah.
You can't really put it on either one of those guys. They were outmatched across the board. The offensive line had no chance. So conversely, Daniel Jones and Saquon had no chance. When you're having to play catch up with that type of offense against that team, it got ugly early, and the Giants just aren't that type of team where they're going to be able to run up points playing from behind.
No.
Not that far from behind. They have had some comebacks this year, but that's just too good of a football team, not against the Eagles.
Yeah, I mean, everybody under the sun was gaining yards and scoring points over there on the Eagles. I mean, they got to the point where, a lot of Giants fans were headed towards the gates at halftime. I mean, it was just...
It sets up for a really nice matchup between these two teams.
Yeah, it does. They're a very good team. They're going to be battle-tested. A defense that is not the Giants is coming up on
And
deck.
they could get rid of the whole we had a long layoff.
Yeah,
Right?
that you could debunk
They
that.
got healthy. They were
Both
good to
teams
go.
with a bye played very well. So that whole, not being on par with the schedule didn't really work out for anybody.
Bro, the reality is, too, coming off of a bye and things like that, it doesn't necessarily... things have changed over the last 3 years with the bye weeks and playoffs and how practices run. These teams are pretty much always on a bye week because they never have to practice anymore.
I think Wednesday is the day that you could first even step on the field and do anything in fast motion.
And then the game is Sunday.
Right.
So,
Because by Friday you're traveling.
And then guess what?
Like,
Guess who gets days off on Wednesdays?
Veterans.
Right. So coaches
Brady didn't practice one
coaches
Wednesday
have it
this
harder
year.
now to keep the team in line and get everything organized in the practice week. But bye weeks, then what we're used to traditionally is a very different dynamic, and that goes both ways. That goes for when you have a long layoff or when you have a short bye week or a short week. Anyway,
Got 2 movers from the next game because, again, not good football from one side, but we'll start with the better guy, and that's Joe Mixon. Had himself a day. 20 carries. And look, the skies decided to open up like right at like pregame warmups. Everybody was like, "Oh, look, flurry." And next thing you know, it's like it didn't stop snowing the entire game. So you knew there was going to be a lot of groundwork to be had. And Mixon goes for 20 carries, 105 yards, and scores. Out of the backfield, he caught 2 balls for 18 yards. So Mixon does work, but like there's so much to talk about when it comes to the Bengals. They went into Buffalo and handled them. Like from start to finish, beat the brakes off the Buffalo Bills. And there's so much to get into with the Bills because
They're a better football team.
They really are. And it's really not close.
It starts at the quarterback position. I hate to say it. Sorry, Josh Allen, but
that's not a debate anymore.
Yeah, Joe Burrow is that dude.
I think Joe Burrow is now 2.
Yeah.
There's no.
He's my 2.
He's my 2 as well.
Honestly, I would take him over Mahomes.
We're about to find out.
I would take him over Mahomes because I like him so much more. And
he's likable.
And he's been pretty dominant over Mahomes in their young, short careers so far.
Yeah, I mean, and they got another test coming up. You know, Kansas City gets to host another one. First of all,
Mixon's the story here, though.
Mixon is the story, but first of all, I gotta give kudos to Joe Burrow in that post-game interview.
Oh yeah,
go get your refund.
I hope you're sending out them refunds.
Yeah, I mean that's right there. That's Joe Cool being Joe Cool, and that's
this up
awesome.
To another situation where you look at a team that plays typically well in cold weather, but is not built to play in cold weather.
Right.
Their defensive line, they couldn't get leverage, and conversely could not stop the run. They couldn't get any penetration. But then when you look at their offense, and this has been commonplace for the Packers in the last decade as well, is when you play against these certain teams that are willing to get smash mouth on you, as the Bengals were yesterday. It's a lot to deal with the receivers, and they had plenty of big plays on third down. But Joe Mixon was the guy. The offensive line did a wonderful job considering the fact that they were out
three guys.
And then I think even one of their starters was hurt mid-game. So they were basically with a patchwork offensive line, but the weather helped because the defense couldn't get their footing, and it allowed them to open up holes. Now, when you look on the other side, it's really only Josh Allen running the football. And when you're in a game, you're down, you can't really rely on your quarterback to run the football every single play.
No.
They couldn't establish the run. And Buffalo, with the passing attack, isn't well suited to play in cold weather games, and that's going to affect them throughout Josh Allen's career.
For sure. And right now, the preliminary forecast for next Sunday is snow showers in the morning and 8 degrees at kickoff. So
where's this? Kansas
City. So, and not in Atlanta. So maybe they would actually prefer to be in Atlanta.
Stinks. I mean, I picked the Bengals to win the Super Bowl, so I want to be right, but I'm going to be in Atlanta this weekend, so it would have been a lot cooler to see the football game.
That's right. I forgot about you taking the trip. That's cool. But on the flip side of this, there was bad play, and that's Josh Allen. Unfortunately for him, man, his stock goes down just a little bit. Nothing too crazy, but at the same time,
though.
huh?
10%.
Yeah, no,
it's a pretty big dip for a one game. Biggest fall out of any starting quarterback. Bigger than Daniel Jones. Bigger than anybody else.
I feel like, yeah, that's a lot.
It's a precipitous fall for Josh Allen.
Yeah, that's
maybe. Look, I don't want to get too far ahead of myself, but maybe they watched me talk about him. It's just a little bit overrated. And I think Josh Allen's a gamer. They're going to be a contender as long as Josh Allen's in Buffalo, or at least for the foreseeable future, unless the team just gets really bad. But can we pump the brakes on him being like the
25
Joe
of
Burrow's
42
Allen.
for 265 and a pick. Look, you could talk a million times about Dak turning the ball over a lot. Josh Allen has become susceptible to the turnover, and that's a big thing. And look, the weather didn't do him any favors. Neither did his receivers. You know what I mean? Like, so it wasn't like
Gabe Davis down 17%.
Gabe Davis.
Do you think it might be the flash in the pan is over when you really look at Gabe Davis?
Because his
career,
his thing happened last postseason.
Yeah, he was a late bloomer to begin with. Considering he didn't really take the league by storm when he joined the NFL. But then he had his spurts. He was a big play guy, a high yards per catch average. And then the playoff game last year, he completely exploded. So everybody was all in on Gabe Davis. And then he didn't really answer the call this year throughout the season.
No,
but
he was like a
number 2 on that high-powered offense. He's going to be involved. Down 17%. Khalil Shakir, I think, is up 10%. I don't know the Gabe Davis contract situation, but I think that we may have been a little ahead of ourselves being all in on Gabe Davis this season. I'll admit that I was wrong on that one. I'll take that L.
Yeah, I'm looking for him
Gabe
now.
Davis contract?
Yeah, I'm curious. Why can't I find this? He's not like all of a sudden he's just like not existing. Like, no, he's not there.
Down
Sorry.
17%. Why? He doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah, I was gonna say he's not even on. Like, I'm looking at overthecap.com and I'm not seeing any Bills right now. To be honest with you, oh, there they are. Let's see here. Gabe Davis, 2024. Oh, there he is. So there's Gabe. Oh, Gabe. God forbid I look up Gabe Davis. It's like, no, it's Gabriel. Okay, sorry. Free agent, unrestricted, 2024. So he's got one more year with the Bills. Actually, yeah, one more year. His cap number is 2.9 mil.
So he's not really
I don't see him going anywhere. But anybody with Josh Allen, you're going to succeed. You're going to have some serious volume. He's just got to deliver. You know, him and like Spider-Man meme with like Amon-Ra St. Brown, but even down the stretch, Amon-Ra St. Brown starting to deliver.
I would say Amon-Ra St. Brown has a little bit more of a nose for the underneath.
What I'm thinking,
like he just stays open.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is going into the year, they were very similar.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then like Amon-Ra stayed on.
Answered the call, and Gabe Davis did not.
All right, who's next? No, despite the fact that the Dallas Cowboys were bounced yesterday, something I was kind of leaning heavily on was the fact that I thought Brock Purdy was going to come down to earth, and I think he did, ultimately. 214, doesn't throw a pick, sacked 2 times. A lot of bad throws. I can't say, anything bad about the Niners because obviously they're playing in the NFC title game, but you may want to pump your brakes on the Brock Purdy stuff right now because in come the Philadelphia Eagles and what they just did to Daniel Jones.
Furthermore, in come the news that Jimmy G may be ready for the NFC Championship game. And I think that's the real reason why Brock Purdy is down after a victory that propels him into the NFC Championship. I thought for sure coming in today, I was going to type in Brock Purdy's name and it was going to be the biggest mover of the day, but it wasn't. Brock Purdy's down.
All of a sudden, now you're going to hear the rumors. You're going to. I don't think you move away from Purdy. You just can't do that. The hot hand is there. He's, won games, won the West, beat the Cowboys, beat the Seahawks. How do you bench Brock Purdy at this point? But it is a conversation.
Brock Purdy's going to be back next year. Jimmy G's not going to be back next year. I understand you have this affinity towards Jimmy G. You've had him for a while in your system. But as an NFL head coach, considering he's almost gotten to this point, a couple times in his career, Shanahan has, whether as an OC or a head coach, and he's never gotten over the hump. Do you really think that he's going to make this crazy decision now and say, hey, no. Jimmy G, we're going to give it to you? The fan base will go crazy.
No, I think he's there to stay, but just monitor his stock because, again, we've seen it a lot throughout the course of this entire regular season that when backup quarterbacks get their opportunities, their stock tends to rise, but now the opportunity might be seizing its way for a Jimmy G. Like maybe there's a short leash or maybe, you know what I mean?
Monitor here.
Definitely.
I don't think Jimmy G is going to be ready. And it would be crazy for them to insert him into the starting lineup. But I will say that there may be some pending news that Jimmy G is officially ruled out again. Then you might see a little bit of a spike for Brock Purdy because then it's official that he'll be getting the start. I think that might be where there's apprehension, but I'm surprised it's as down as much as he is considering. But they also might be looking at it realistically like, this guy's running out of starts.
Yeah, absolutely.
Even if they go all the way, he might be running out of starts.
We'll see. They rushed for 113 as a team, the 49ers, 51 out of Mitchell, 35 out of McCaffrey. It's so defeating to know how much you basically, the Cowboys stopped all their big weapons. They really did.
Kittle
was the guy. Yeah, Kittle was the guy that 5 catches, 95 yards, one of them where he bobbles it 3 times, comes down with the catch, and I'm like, That's that
type of game.
That's that. And I was like, you don't come back from that. You're just like, oh man. And Kittle's he's one of my favorite guys in the NFL. Obviously a big wrestling dude. So it's like me and him, we're like buddies in a sense. No, I know you like that. But no, George Kittle. And shut your mouth over there.
Yeah. Shouldn't you be on the couch with the rest of the Giant fans, bro?
He's laughing at Kittle.
Saved a spot for the two of you.
But no, for real though, the Niners, they did just enough to get it done. Tougher task ahead of them this week with the Eagles.
We'll pick that game later in the week.
Sure as hell rooting for you guys, the 49ers. Go be great. Go do your thing, Brock.
Yeah.
So that's
My
it for the
brother's a
movers.
Niners fan, so I'll be pulling for the Niners.
Yeah, no. That was one of the guys I was thinking about the entire time. I was like, all right, well, you know what? Somebody I know is very happy right now, which is cool. But again, tough season for the Dallas Cowboys to end that way. Dak Prescott, another bad game out of him. Ezekiel Elliott, 10 rushes for 26 yards.
And Pollard
injury. Snaps his freaking fibula, so he's out for the foreseeable future on a payday, nonetheless.
49ers are a tough team to deal with.
Bro, you said it. Like these teams, they beat the crap out of you, and that's what they did. The Niners beat them up, and it was just like every hit. I was like, ooh, every hit. I was like, these guys
closing speed on that.
They lay the wood on these guys. So yeah, I mean that's a wrap. So, we're obviously right there, full steam ahead towards the NFC and AFC title game. This week, we'll break those games down thoroughly by position and also revisit some of these teams that were bounced this week. A lot of questions in the air. Obviously, the Giants with their questions.
New prop bets out there.
We have to get
a news tab on the app that's pretty dope.
Oh, that was very nice. So download the app right now. The app has changed just a little bit for the better. There's a whole, like you hit the middle, news button.
The interface just looks even... The Mojo interface was super clean to begin with, but obviously being that it's a newer app, it had some kinks. It doesn't have kinks.
No.
I mean, I shouldn't even say kinks. It just, the aesthetics,
normally you do,
aesthetics were
but
cool.
they didn't.
And now the aesthetics are even cooler. The colors pop a little bit more. I don't know if I had a phone update or something, but
the colors pop. Again, the news cycle right there, and they did this right on time. I feel like whoever you are, the designer of this, he's got to have an Android, or she has to have an Android. It's one of those things like, let's make this as great as we possibly can as soon as the green textures have at this app. That's when they can do it. So again, shout out to those guys. Do us also a favor throughout the course of this week. Find yourself some time to follow us on social media right now. TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, @Mojo, MOJO. Very easy to find us. Join the Discord. I couldn't get into the Discord yesterday. I just had a feeling that there was going to be a lot of like, oh man, I sold all my stock in Dak. I just couldn't do it. There's a conversation to be had each and every day about the playoffs and about your future stocks. So get involved with that. Also, of course, mojo.com, all the creative writers over there and the bloggers and the guys that have been pumping us with information the entire season. I thank you guys a million, because without you, there would be no show. I think a lot of your information definitely gets trickled in. And yeah, keep your eyes on the prop bets and stuff like that. Again, they tried it over the weekend. Let's see if it sticks. I would hope it sticks. I think it's a great thing.
Stick.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a great thing. And plus, obviously, NBA is going to be right around. We're literally weeks away from the NBA, maybe a week away.
I don't know if you got the email. I reactivated the fantasy baseball league at 2:30 in the morning.
No, I didn't get that email. I am a defending champion, though, so that's one thing I told Chris a couple weeks ago. I'm like, I'm not doing it. There's no way. I ain't in. And then, like you say, reactivate. I'm like, all right, maybe. I mean,
yeah,
I got to defend my crown.
The Cowboys were still alive. Dave was thinking Super Bowl.
Listen, when the
now
Cowboys
the
are alive,
over, it's like, what could I get my hands on next? Because I got to do something.
I'm going to prop bet the crap out of the Mojo app. I'm going to be all over this thing. There's a lot to get into this week. It's going to be a busy one. I'm going to stop being miserable eventually. Just give me some time. For Dave Sturchio, Chris Gueci, A5, and another great job behind the glass here at Chop Studios. This has been another episode of the Mojo Market Report. Back here tomorrow. We got 4 teams left. Let's see who can pull this out.